is up, everybody? Isaac here, Civil Engineering Academy. Excited to be with you on another podcast episode. If you haven't liked or subscribed these things, what's wrong with you? I'm just kidding. But we know and we appreciate those that listen and give us good reviews. We love hearing about your comments and reading those as well. So anyway, thank you for listening. I'm excited today. I bring Brian Liu, who is the founder of Archipelago, which is a professional services network for the AEC industry, the architecture, engineering, and construction industry, and really aims to connect firms together and providing services to help creativity. So if you don't know what that means, I'm going to bring Brian on to explain his mission for his business and what it provides and why it's good for any civil engineer that goes to the entrepreneurial route or is in a small firm and wants to join a network of like-minded people that can share ideas, take advantages of the resources the Archipelago offers, and really provides a really nice network for people. It's a pretty unique business idea that he has entered into this AEC space. I think it was very fascinating to have this interview. I think you're going to enjoy it too. If you have any interest in becoming an entrepreneur or an independent contractor, or you do work for a small firm or own a small firm, this is going to be something you're going to want to listen to. Brian is awesome. He's from, he graduated in civil engineering, started his journey in electrical engineering, switched to civil, went and got a business degree, and during that time, he started really thinking about a business need that was out there in the AEC field, and this is what he came up with. So anyway, it's really exciting. I think you're going to enjoy it. My interview with Brian, it's going to be coming up right after this. Hey, I wanted to jump on real quick and let you know about a free resource we developed for you. You can find it at civilengineeringacademy.com/PE guide, and this will help you to jumpstart your studies for your PE exam. So if you're in the hunt and you're just thinking about the PE exam, this guide will help you get through the process of figuring out everything you need to do, from the PE exam's prerequisites that you got to figure out, the must-have materials that you're going to need for the exam, any approved calculators, what groups you should join, exam secrets, and much more. It's all in this guide that we've got developed for you. It's completely free. You can go check it out at civilengineeringacademy.com/PE guide. Just put in your email. We'll get you that information as soon as the email comes to your inbox. So go check it out, civilengineeringacademy.com/PE guide. All right, Brian, we are live and running. Thank you for joining me on the Civil Engineering Academy podcast.
Glad to be here.
This is going to be fun. So you kind of reached out to me. I know you just started a business, and we're going to talk all about those details in a little bit. But I always love to ask people that are guests, how did you find yourself in the world of engineering? What led you into that field in the first place?
Well, it was actually a bit of an accident, to be honest. I was in electrical engineering at first. I got into that program because it required, it had like a high grade requirement. So it was like the best program I could get into. And I got into it and I just kind of slacked off because I was like, I made it. I'm at like a really great university in a great program. And I failed out of electrical engineering, and I had to do some soul searching. And after about a year, I went and applied for civil engineering, and that's how I got into civil engineering.
Wow. Was there any, the engineering disciplines seem very similar to each other, usually when you find yourself at a university level, it's like, I'm gravitating towards electrical or mechanical or whatnot. So was there any topics of interest that got you into civil engineering, or was it just kind of a default to civil engineering?
It was me exploring like what interested me in the past prior to going to electrical engineering, because I'm from Canada and we actually have to make the decision like without a lot of information before heading into university. And so after electrical engineering, I was like, what did I really like enjoy? And it was like I still enjoy math. I'm still pretty analytical, but I'm I was from Toronto. I lived in Toronto, and the CN Tower, one of the largest buildings, is located there. So I'm like, I really, I'm so impressed by the CN Tower. I want to be like a structural engineer. So that's what led me to civil engineering.
So, buildings and kind of the world around us got you interested to look at.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Well,
yeah, electrical.
Oh, sorry. Keep going.
Sorry, I was going to say electrical is the hidden world of electrons, and so that was also very difficult for me to wrap my head around, and civil being visual, being right there, that was a lot easier for me.
For sure. Well, we love civil engineering. Obviously, it's our podcast, but it's in the infrastructure all around us. So I love hearing people's stories. That's kind of how they fell into this world. So, well, let's talk about a little bit about the genesis of the business that you're a part of, and that's pronounced Archipelago, if I'm saying that right. And Archipelago. Dang it! I know I screwed up. Dang it. Okay, Archipelago. Why don't you tell me, how did we come up with that name, and what is it all about?
The name is, Archipelago is a group of islands. So Japan, for instance, is an archipelago. And the idea behind Archipelago is we want to bring together a bunch of independent firms. And we want these firms to collaborate with each other because in my career, I've seen that there is a lack of collaboration between firms, between departments, and I want to try to solve that. And so, going back to the name, an archipelago, like Japan, it's different islands, but they're one country. And if you also think about it, the world is an archipelago, right? Made of continents.
True.
So it's kind of like a nod to, working together.
That's awesome. Do you have any heritage or background from any of these islands?
I'm from Taiwan, very close to Japan.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Well, let's talk about what the business does. Like, what's the vision for the business? What does it do? How does it apply to the AEC field, the architecture, engineer, and construction industry?
So Archipelago is modeled after accounting firms. And accounting firms, a lot of them, especially the big ones, are networks. So, for example, Deloitte, they are a professional services network. And, if you use Deloitte for your accounting services, you're actually working with an independent firm in that location, wherever you are. And there's another business with their own operations and owners. They're just operating under this network. So Archipelago follows that established, very successful model. And we're trying to bring that to the AEC industry because there's a lot of advantages to this model.
That's awesome. And I know we talked about this a little bit earlier, but since probably our audience is mostly civil engineers, how would the business apply? Let's say I'm a civil engineer, maybe I'm an independent contractor now. I've gained experience and maybe I've left a company and I'm now working on my own, just doing my own projects. How do you see that working for them? What would be the benefit of them joining?
Yeah, so engineers didn't go to school for business, right? Like they went to school to learn, like civil engineering. So what we bring to them is the business expertise. So there are lots of things to consider, like how do you market yourself? How do you, create an efficient backend system for managing your projects and your clients? There's so many things to think about when you are running your own firm. So Archipelago aims to lower that barrier to entry for people, either in starting their own firms or scaling like established businesses where their core expertise is in engineering and not business.
Would there be any opportunity for an engineer to join Archipelago if they are, I guess, working for a smaller firm? Or would it be like, hey, maybe it's worth talking to the smaller firm that I'm a part of to see if they want to join Archipelago?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you are part of a smaller firm and you are open to collaboration, definitely, come talk to me. It's we are trying to basically build a collaborative ecosystem, and there are lots of ways that you can collaborate. You can collaborate on projects. You can collaborate on gaining knowledge, right? You can be learning new things from other member firms as well. So absolutely, if you're interested in collaborating and you feel like, you could be doing more with your business, especially when it comes to the back end stuff, then definitely Archipelago is a good solution.
So this is new for me. It sounds like it's new for the whole really industry. There's nothing like this really for the AEC field. Is that correct?
I did research this, and I would say there are one or two maybe in the architectural world, and they're very new. I haven't found any in the engineering industry. And for accounting and law, it's like a lot of them.
Yes. So if you join Archipelago, it sounds like you have the ability to rub shoulders, to get advice from anyone else that falls under that umbrella too. Is that correct? You're collaborating
Yes, exactly.
with architects or construction firm.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not like some sort of complicated way that you're rubbing shoulders. Essentially, when you become a member firm, you get access to the Archipelago Microsoft Teams. And so every member firm has their own channel, and there's also share channels that you can, discuss projects, discuss certain topics, knowledge, and then kind of, and that's kind of like how everyone collaborates.
Could you briefly describe, I guess, the list of services, this back-end stuff that you would be providing to a company that would join Archipelago?
Yeah. So one of the first things that we're providing is help with managing your projects. So, the project has a pretty defined life cycle in our industry. It goes from proposals to, estimating of fees proposals, and then you have to track your time, you have to invoice the clients. So we're going to help with that. We have partnered with a provider that will help streamline that entire process. And so you can come into our network with basically like most of what you need to run a successful firm set up for you.
That sounds, it sounds awesome. Is there, I guess, some of the nuts and bolts of that? Is there a fee for a company to join? How does that structure look?
Yeah, so membership is free because it doesn't really cost us anything to have you be in our network in Microsoft Teams. And we really want that barrier to entry to be as low as possible. So we're going to make sure that Archipelago is a good fit. So there is an interview process, but once you join, like it's free to access a network. for software, for additional services, there are fees associated with that.
Got it. Man, this is so interesting. I know we talked a little bit about the genesis of this and how companies work together and stuff, but when did you realize this could be a business in this field? Like, where did this idea, was it in school? Were you working for an engineering firm already and you were like, what's going on? Like, how did this come about?
Yeah, so I guess I've been thinking about, I didn't know I was thinking about Archipelago, but I was thinking about the ideals behind Archipelago for a long time. So when I graduated from civil engineering, I was a bit, I guess, naive. I was thinking like, okay, I learned a lot from school, and I'm now going to apply everything I learned from school on project. Like this company that's going to hire me is going to just like take me to the next level, and it didn't really happen. I didn't see a lot of collaboration that could have happened. I thought a lot of projects were basically done, in a way that was always done, and people weren't very open to new ways of doing those projects or new solutions for existing problems. And that really was where it kind of got me thinking, like, how do we change this? Because it does impact like the project quality, the time it takes to deliver these projects. And so I, eventually got to a point where I had the time and resources to start a company to address this problem, and this is Archipelago.
That's awesome. So how long, I mean, I'm pretty new to this. I mean, with our introduction earlier, but, and just kind of discovering, but how long has it been in business? And do you have any success stories, let's say, in relation to like the business operation in terms of like stepping in and doing management support, which you talked about a little bit earlier? Is there any success stories that you have there?
So we're pretty new. I created the company last year after I graduated from my executive MBA program, and have been testing out the concept with a few of my former colleagues. And I'm excited to announce that last a couple weeks ago, we onboarded one of them as our first official member firm. And the success, thank you. The success,
that's a big deal. That's awesome.
Yeah, 0 to 1, right? That's always I think,
got to start.
One of the hardest. Yeah. And we are using that project management system that I was telling you about, and so far it's been really good.
That's so cool. I'm curious because I'm an engineer. I run Civil Engineering Academy, and it's a business too. And it usually takes a leap of faith for someone to, especially engineers, to kind of take that step into jumping into a business. So I guess I'm curious, most engineers that find themselves working as working professionals, they take the steps to become a professional engineer, and they kind of, I guess, stay there. They're okay doing the work that they're doing, or maybe they move around within that industry. What was the drive, I guess, to become an entrepreneur for you, and to kind of take this leap of faith? Because it sounds like this is what you're doing full time, correct?
Yeah, exactly. I didn't take that step lightly. I went and did an executive MBA just to see if I was, well, first I wanted to be prepared as much as possible. And secondly, I wanted to, just do more research about what it's like to start a business. And yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Like engineers, especially civil engineers, I would say, are okay. A lot of them are just okay with, just doing, practicing their craft. I think the step for me was I was complaining a lot. I was complaining a lot about the status quo.
Mm,
I was like, why is it like this? Why can it be different? Why aren't we, you know, doing this more efficiently? And I tried to do as much of those changes within the companies I worked at before, but I wasn't very effective at that. And so I could be more effective on my own. So that is why I decided to make that leap.
that's really interesting. So, I mean, in your own experience, it sounds like this collaboration piece is kind of a missing piece of the puzzle. It's really kind of the start of this whole business idea. I guess what advice would you have for firms or even individuals to be more collaborative? How can they do that? What advice would you share for them?
I think you have to be open to collaboration. A lot of people, well, everyone I think is open to collaboration when you talk to them about it, but whether they actually allow for collaboration, whether they actually do it day to day, I think that's where it kind of diverges, right? Like the idea of collaboration, like everybody agrees on, right? Like, if you work together, you can accomplish more. But you need to have the resources, right, to allow for collaboration. You have to have, well, time, like to collaborate. So if you're always fighting fires on a project and trying to catch up on things, you're not going to do that much collaboration. So I think there's a lot of things you have to do to get to a point where you can collaborate, and that's like having good systems and also be, giving time to collaboration, not just thinking about how to bring money in.
True. I think taking a leap of faith also in becoming an entrepreneur kind of opens the door, I think, for people to want to become more collaborative too, because they need kind of that network of support. Would you have any advice to young engineers that maybe want to consider joining the business and that you've started and maybe shoot for an entrepreneurial pathway?
Yeah, I think for young engineers, I think what they need to do is to see if it makes sense to start your own business, right? Because it depends. It depends on your market, what your skills are. A lot of it is what do you want to get out of it, right? When I went back and did my MBA, I had to do a lot of soul searching, because one of the first questions they asked me or asked our class is like, who are you? Who are you? Where are you going? Why? And honestly, I still think about those questions today. And I think that's where young engineers should ask themselves about whether they need to or they want to start a business or not. I can say that it's a lot easier today than in the past. Like in the past, before all these remote tools and software and companies that will help you establish your business, it was a lot difficult. You need a lot more capital. It's a lot easier today, and Archipelago can help with lowering that barrier to entry.
That's awesome. I mean, if I was going that right, or doing that now, and I have had people and past guests on the show that have gone independent as a contractor for themselves. They've maybe have figured out how to do business development and have gotten some projects under their belt. But I don't think they'd have a network and a backing that's something that you can provide. So I think that's pretty interesting that the tools are all out there for engineers to really get after it and start their own thing when they feel ready to and confident to. And would this apply to, I guess, any civil engineering field? It's really anything in the AEC field goes, or is there barriers to who can come into this?
So we're open to architectural firms, engineering firms, and also construction management types of firms. And we're focused primarily on the professional side of the industry, because it's where a lot of the collaboration happens, right? Like these projects have a lot of infrastructure projects have a lot of different disciplines, a lot of complexities, and collaboration is really important there. We're also open to other companies if they think that they could be a good fit. Whether they're like a startup with some sort of new technology that's catered for the industry, then yeah, absolutely get in contact with us.
That's awesome. Well, this has been a fascinating interview for me. I had, this is a business idea that I really haven't really paid attention to, but I think it's super important for people that are going to the entrepreneurial route and need a network that can really get behind them and help them get going. So, Brian, could you let us all know, I guess, the best contact information where people can find out more about the business and the services that you're providing?
I think the best place is find me on LinkedIn, and everything is we'll branch out from there.
Okay. Do we have a website set up for this, or was there anything about?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
you can also go to our website at acplg.ca.
Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and link all those in our show notes. If anybody has any questions, they'll definitely reach out to you. But I think it's definitely a fascinating business and something that's going to help people if they're definitely going the entrepreneur route. And it's really exciting. So, Brian, thank you for joining me. Is there anything else you want to talk about the company itself, or any advice for young engineers pursuing their career in this field?
I think we cover a lot of ground today, so I'm good.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thanks for doing this, and we'll stay in touch.
Thank you.
Okay. See ya.
Bye.